All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you, just like me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing, for watching the channel, for helping me out over on Patreon. Um, I'll be talking about Patreon toward the end again, but here we are with T3 Nors. Now, I'm going to be talking about Arnel Pineda in this video. So I figured I would showcase some amazing singers alongside Arnel, who's had a pretty long stint with Journey and as a solo artist. But if you want to hear some great singers, you've got Kent Hilly from Perfect Plan. You've got Toby Hitchcock from Pride of Lions, and the great Robbie LeBlanc from the band Find Me. All right, and so many other projects for all three of these guys. But here's the inside of this, just in case you want to see it. By the way, Jeff Scott Soto sent me a message, and he's like, yeah, this was my idea, so you better give me credit for it. So he didn't say the last part, but I'm giving Soto some credit because apparently he brought those three guys together. T3 Nors, not too confusing, not a marketing problem whatsoever for Frontiers Music. So on to Arnel. Before we get to Arnel, don't forget about Modern Retro Radio, modernretrofm.com. Great radio station playing music that other stations don't have the courage to play. It's true. So Arnel has embarked on a 5-city U.S. concert tour. I'm not sure if he's done, if he has more dates coming up. He's touring with another fine vocalist by the name of Lani Misalucha. And I may be butchering that because I butcher names all the time. And so this is really geared toward the Filipino-American community in the United States this month. But a couple of our Journey junkies who follow me, who are over on Patreon, have sent me some footage of the show. And obviously, there is a big difference between Arnel's vocals as a solo performer and what he sounds like in Journey. It's night and day, okay? Now, he's also singing some material that requires him to more or less imitate or morph into that character. If he's singing a song by Guns N' Roses, for instance, he's trying to sound like Axl Rose. And he does that fairly well. But there is a big difference. And one of my reporters, I'll call him a reporter because he's constantly going to concerts and sending me footage. My buddy John M., he says there's obviously some electronic enhancement going on when Arnel is in Journey. That was his conclusion because he goes to the Journey concerts faithfully, no pun intended there, and he goes to see Arnel performing as a solo artist. And I've got someone else on the page who's also been to the show and who is a Journey junkie. She didn't really relay any of this information, but John, I think, was listening to maybe the differences between his solo tour and then the work he does with Journey. Look, folks, I've been saying this now for quite some time, especially in this situation. You've got a guy, I think, fairly well into his 50s now, who's singing material that Steve Perry quit singing, I think, in his 30s, right? Just didn't sing anymore with Journey, or low 40s. During the 90s, I'm not sure how old Steve Perry was, but probably 40s, maybe late 40s at the end of the decade. And he was supposed to go out on tour with Journey. And there's got to be this factor in there where Perry is like, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to humiliate the band or myself. And look what happened to Steve Augeri, right? All you need to do is that case study. Steve started great, but this was something that I don't know if anybody can handle. Now, you may have to go back a few years to hear Arnel without any of the technology, we'll say it that way, that is available today. People, I think, want to deny that this is happening, but I've read countless articles that this is very easy to employ this during a concert. And it doesn't even have to be an older vocal from 10 years ago or something like that. It can just be done at the soundboard. And the audience is not going to, they're not going to know. And it's kind of sad because what it does is it makes it so even mediocre performers, and I'm not saying Arnel is mediocre, he's great. Even this more raw and unfiltered Arnel, he's a great singer. Regardless of what people think about him versus Steve Perry and all that stuff, the point I'm trying to make here is that this is how singers are, they're able to go on longer than they should. Now, some of these guys who are out there and they've been out there for too long, you can hear every little nuance of what they're doing, so you know it's live, but then the performance itself is just dreadful. It's horrible. And you wonder, do audiences really like that, or are they just going for a dose of nostalgia? And I think it's the latter. And if you're not getting a little bit more finicky as you get older, see, that's me. And people say, well, you're just a curmudgeon, you don't like anything. And because it's all getting so bad. It just is. It's getting bad. And there are a lot of people in denial. Now, I'll cut Arnel some slack. He's on this solo tour. He's doing a few dates, and he's singing these songs that he used to sing back in that dive bar in the Philippines when Neil Sean was discovering him. They uploaded those videos to YouTube. That was a really smart idea, huh? Changed the guy's life, changed the band. I mean, I'm talking about Journey, and just changed history and kept this franchise going. Whether you like Arnel or not, my guess is he'll be back next year on tour with Journey. And just, if you go to a Journey concert, you're going to think the vocals are impressive. And there's a reason for that. And look, folks, people, no matter how good they are vocally, and there are a few exceptions, and I've pointed them out, as people age, and you got to remember, this music was written for a guy in his 20s, in his 30s, vocally in his prime. They wrote songs that were difficult on purpose to top the other bands. Journey competing with Foreigner and Survivor and all these bands with great vocalists. And, you got to hand it to Steve Perry. Back in the 80s, he won really every battle. And that's why he's known as the voice. But how do you maintain that? It's really hard. I mean, they've gone through a couple of singers, at least before they got to the point where, okay, we've got Arnel now. It was Jeff Scott Soto, who I briefly mentioned, and then Steve Augeri. And there were some other names out there that they could have gone with, but any of those people would have faced the same problem eventually. Unless, of course, hey, we're going to rely on technology, or we're going to have the audience just drown the singer out. This is what happens during many shows I see where there's a tribute band, and the tribute band relies on the audience to sing and kind of drown out the lead singer. I mean, you can hear him, but it's almost like he's a background vocalist. And so that's a formula. And, people after a few adult beverages, this is what they do. And I don't really blame them for doing that. But in any event, I think this is more nostalgia, why people keep going. In the case of Arnel's little solo tour here, this is for a specific audience, and for some people who love Arnel too. in addition to the Filipino population. In the Philippines, Arnel is, he is as big as anybody here in the United States, if not bigger. All right. And good for him. He's living the dream. And I think he's a nice enough person where it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And all these fights that happened earlier this year, Neil and John going back and forth and all this stuff, and Arnel being in the middle of it kind of sucks for him to be in the middle of that, and it's kind of a shame. But at the end of it all, I don't think Journey's going to change their lineup at this stage. I had a conversation with somebody in the band, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, probably, and they told me it's just not good marketing at this stage. They want to keep going with Arnel. They've established this brand. They've got this singer. There are enough people out there who are okay with Arnel being the singer. So why not just continue? Why mess it up again? There are still people out there who want Perry to come back and do some one-off gigs or try to perform a few songs with Neil. I think that would be amazing. Even if vocally Steve can't do what he used to do, if he got out there and they unplugged everything and maybe dropped it a little bit so he can handle it, it would still be, history, like big time history happening. So that's my 2 cents, 3 cents worth there. Just know when you're going to a concert these days and you've got older performers, there's a good chance they're getting some help from something. All right. If it's not vocals, it might be instrumentation. They try to beef up the sound, enhance the sound, and then they justify it by saying, hey, we want to give the consumer the best show we can deliver. But I'm old school. I'd rather hear the flaws. I mean, when everything is auto-tuned and fixed, the humanity is just not there. And this, you can hear it, and it's disappointing. Again, I'd rather hear somebody with a few defects than perfection, because perfection means it's just a machine. And I don't want to be taken over by machines just yet. I'd like to have humans still in charge of things for, maybe a couple more years. All right, people. Thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to check out Modern Retro Radio, great radio station. Also, Patreon. The income stream has, again, started to crater because the whole Eric Clapton thing is over. And that was nice while it lasted. But it's hard to produce content where you get like 300,000 views on a video. It just is, unless you're a kid's creator or you've got the blessing of the platform. I've noticed there are certain people that do what I do, and they don't do it any better than I do it. In some cases, I'll watch the content, and it's like stuff that I knew like 30, 40 years ago, and they're just repackaging it, regurgitating it. Maybe they've got some new graphics, cool thumbnails or whatever, but the content itself isn't anything earth-shattering. And I'll look at the view count, and it's like 384,000 views. I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, so it would be nice to be in the good graces of the people that run the platform, but I'm not. So that's why I continue to ask for your support. There are some people that are starting to harass me in certain spaces about me asking for $1. Okay, I'm asking for $1 a month. You don't have to give the $1 a month. The people who are harassing me about it are saying, I'll never, okay, you don't have to give me $1. All right. I've got people that do way more than $1. For that person who's harassing me about the $1, there are people that like the content and understand this is my job. Okay. This is what I do. And I've been doing it now, going on close to 8 years pretty soon, something like 7.5 years. I have lost track, but this is what I've been doing. And my employer is YouTube, essentially. And they've significantly cut my earnings since last year. So this is why I am asking for other people to maybe kick in $1 or $2 a month to help out. I have 73,000 subscribers. So again, if 10% of them did that, I could go anywhere I wanted to and say whatever I wanted to, which would be amazing for both me, but not just me, but for everybody who wants to hear the type of stuff that I talk about and the truth from time to time, where a more weighty topic is at hand, weightier than whether or not Arnel is being auto-tuned or vocally enhanced. This is something that some of my patrons care about, and so I'm doing content that is more suited for what they would like. So I do that. I also do what I want to do as well. So if you can help out the channel, I'm always going to have trolls. Haters are a natural part of doing this type of thing. So I'm getting used to it, although you never totally get used to it. It's just bizarre. All right, folks. Thanks again. God bless everyone. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.